Yeah, good morning. Hey, it's 9:06 here on Super Talk 99.7, and I'm Joan Jones. Obviously, I'm not Chris Hand, not even close. My hair's a lot longer than his. Chris, as we've been talking about, is going to be doing Matt Murphy's show this afternoon. So we've got Mason doing news for us. He's sitting in for me, and I just have to say that he's doing such a good job that I'm about ready to go down to the boss's office and see if I've lost my job yet.
Oh, stop it.
Come on, Mason. You're doing so good. You make me proud. And
You're being too kind, but I do appreciate it.
No. I think you're doing a great job. And some of the super texters have made note of that, too. So good job.
I appreciate you guys.
So sitting in Mason's place is RJ. Who just handed things over, or I guess Sam just handed things over to RJ. So we've got RJ working the board for us and, picking up the phones and doing all that kind of stuff. So it's, everybody's in a different role today, but we kind of like it that way. It shakes things up. This is May Day, as we've been talking about. It's May 1st. And there's a ton of school districts around the country that have decided that they're going to actually close their doors because so many teachers called out, sick or whatever, so that they could attend May Day events. May Day protests, they say, focus on worker rights, economic justice, immigrant rights, income inequality, labor rights, government policy, all the really fabulous things that you should be out there protesting. And they don't want you to go to the store today. They don't want you to shop, enjoy anything. They want you to stay home or attend one of these events. One of the quotes that's in USA Today says, if you want to see real change, you've got to be part of the solution, because if you're not out organizing and you're not out in the streets and you're not talking to your neighbors, you're part of the problem. So might I suggest today that you be part of the problem? Just be part of the problem. Go have a happy day and go about your business and go to the grocery store and go buy a new T-shirt. Do whatever it takes to be a happy person and be a productive person, and make sure you go to your job and school today. That's what I propose. Okay, so 9:08 here on this odd day at WTN, because normally I'm doing news, and so I get to do long-winded things today, which is kind of fun. I thought we'd start off with President Trump signing that bill yesterday that restores funding for DHS after 75 unforgivable days that DHS went without funding. It's unforgivable, Democrats. All the while, there have been threats on the president's life. There has been the war in Iran, the attacks on Americans by people who are living in this country illegally, all the things that the Department of Homeland Security would take care of. So here's where we are. The House Republicans reached, this is the most frustrating thing, they reached the agreement with Democrats, a bill that was proposed by the Senate, and it covers most of the department's appropriations. But this is where I get antsy with it, because it covers everything except ICE and Border Patrol. I mean, honestly. By the way, this was the very same bill that the Senate passed unanimously back in March. We have wasted all of this time because the bill has already been passed for more than a month, and it sat languishing. Mike Johnson wouldn't bring it up because it didn't contain funding for ICE and Border Patrol. And at the moment, we got it. Like, okay, don't let the Democrats change the way we have fundamentally worked to fund bills. Don't let them be the change agents. But Speaker Johnson greenlighted it yesterday, meaning that he wasted that full month and changed nothing about it. And he blamed it on the White House, saying that the White House kind of lost its will to hold out and said, get her done. So what they're doing is instead funding ICE and Border Patrol through a different process that doesn't require the help from the Democrats. It was a great idea a month ago. So why we had to sit around on our hands for all this time, I don't know. DHS has 200,000 personnel, so it's a biggie. It's got Secret Service, it's got TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA. Great. In the meantime, 1,000 TSA workers have said, see ya, we're not dealing with this anymore, and they've left their jobs. We keep allowing the left, however, to eviscerate us to mock us, even as we have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It doesn't make any sense to me. Republicans suck. We all know it. And we don't have much of a choice. What would the choice be? We have only one way to go. From Fox News this morning, Republicans are in the beginning stages of writing the separate party line package to fund Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Customs and Border Patrol. But the legislation won't advance before lawmakers leave Washington for the upcoming recess period. Okay, so they're going to take another little vacation before they work on the things that need to get worked on around this country. Okay, so we can focus on things that are happier news, like the decision from the Supreme Court this week, the Voting Rights Act. It set in motion a lot of good things, and Mason's been talking about it this morning. Speaker Sexton is saying, yeah, we can take a look at it. Let's gather everyone back in a special session, pass this thing, get rid of that one blue seat in Tennessee. The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that one of Louisiana's majority-minority districts, I really hate that term, majority-minority, but that's what it is, it was improperly drawn to favor black voters. They had one district that was that way, and they added another one. So doing that second one caused some voters to file a lawsuit that said, hey, this isn't right, you can't do this, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and that's where we got this decision from. The other minority district, I guess, is okay in Louisiana because they're not fighting over that one. They're only fighting over the one. I'm not sure why that is. Still, the governor there says ultimately that they'll return that one to the Republicans, and they're holding off, by the way. Governor Landry, Jeff Landry, I think his name is, he's holding off on the midterms, on the primary elections that they were about to hold so that they can get everything in motion the right way. And then we've heard from Just the News reporting this morning that the United States Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, she's a beast. She said the Justice Department is going to enforce that Supreme Court decision on gerrymandering districts in every state that has such a district. So they're out there looking for it. Missouri Republican Senator Eric Schmidt asked the Justice Department earlier on Thursday to enforce it. And she tweeted out to him, Senator, we are on it. On it was in capital letters. Love that. So they're going to be looking for the districts that need to get changed, and they will change them. And from what I'm hearing, CNN was reporting earlier in the week that this could be 19 districts. Now, I've heard Dan say up to 50. I don't know where that number comes from, but there's probably somewhere in the middle there that would be the number of districts that will go Republican. Of course, now that this has happened, you're hearing every lefty just go on maniacal rants. And that would include, of course, the ladies, and I use that term loosely, on The View. They've got a real problem with it. And I've got sound here, RJ, so I'm hoping that you're all ready for me. Yeah, here we go. It's not playing. Don't know why. RJ, any idea?
Give me 1 second. We're working on it.
All right. Well, of course, it was Sunny Houston. And, of course, she's, talking about, her father and talking about how she has been so discriminated against. The woman has just an amazing life, and she just can't let it go that she's black, and it bothers her so much.
Alito argued that the vast social change has occurred throughout the country, and particularly in the South, indicating that racism no longer exists in this country.
Does racism still exist in this country? I mean, I thought, and a lot of people think the same way, that we were on a good stroll. We were headed in the right direction. Things were going well until Obama became president, and things fell apart after that.
I can tell you, as a black woman, that my father was born in 1949. He remembers segregated schools.
Do you know segregated schools, Sonny?
He remembers segregated water fountains.
Do you know segregated water fountains, Sonny?
He remembers that he did not have full civil rights. And he told me when I turned 40 years old that I was the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights. And He is still alive today, and I am still alive today, and I have been discriminated against. And now I have to tell my children that they have less civil rights than I did when I was born.
That's true.
That is disgusting, despicable, and I am devastated by this particular Supreme Court decision, even though, Whoopi, we did know this was coming.
How is this woman how is she always so offended? She lives her life as an offended person. It's unbelievable to me that Sunny Hostin, however you say her name, the woman who's like, I'm so bright, I need sunglasses to see myself in the mirror. That woman, she killed her own argument because racism, Jim Crow, drinking out of water fountains, none of that exists anymore. And she has to go find some dignity somewhere because making this argument in 2026 is the most insane thing I've ever heard. Hakeem Jeffries, whom I like to call Huck Creep Jeffries, makes me mad too. Saying the quiet part out loud recently on a podcast regarding this issue.
In the new Congress, we're going to have to do something about this Supreme Court. And let me be very clear. Everything is on the table. Everything to deal with this corrupt MAGA majority that is issuing political opinions that are designed to bolster the prospects of the Republican Party, and we will not allow them to succeed.
I mean, honestly, is there anything else that makes you want to go, hey, I'm going to go vote in November. I'm going to vote for the primaries. I'm going to vote in November. I'm going to grab my parents. I'm going to grab my kids. I'm going to grab my neighbor. I'm going to grab the lady in church that I see every week. And I'm going to make them go to the polls as well and vote. Because the last thing that we can allow is for Democrats to get control of the House, of the Senate, or of the presidency. It will be a disaster because they're madder than ever. They're mad like hornets. There is reason to hope that adorable nerd, as I like to call him, Harry Enton at CNN, he sees a shift in voter trends, and he was talking about this yesterday.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing right now in the numbers is President Trump and the Republican Party are chipping away at the long-term advantage that Democrats have had with black voters, with African Americans. You can see it right here. Look, Trump's approval among African Americans at this point in term one, he was at 12%. You know, he's been losing ground with a lot of people. He's gaining ground with African Americans. He's up to 16% at this point. And you say, this isn't that big of a shift. But I will tell you, Republicans absolutely love this shift that's going on because Democrats have had such a long-term advantage. The fact that he's actually gaining ground versus where he was in term number one, this has major implications for elections down the line because Democrats, especially in a lot of these tight races, you talk about places like Georgia, right down in the South, you see this type of movement for Trump actually gaining ground. This could have major ramifications and help put Republicans over the top in a number of southern places in the midterm election.
Yeah, the Supreme Court decision is going to have implications for southern states. Harry Enton talks about it. So many of them have gerrymandered districts that favor black voters. Now, Republican governors in those states are saying, let's rethink that. Let's go back to the well here and redraw these maps, which apparently we will also be doing here in Tennessee. Okay, so it's 9:19 here. Got to take a break. Coming up, stick around because I want to tell you about what's happening with Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci may be in hot water, even though Joe Biden gave him an out, a long-term out. And we may be seeing him get brought up on charges, or maybe that's just me hoping. I don't know. I'll tell you the story about that coming up in just a moment. It's 9:20 here on WTN.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock store, and they want to ask you a favor. More on that in a second. It's almost time for their 6th annual open house. It's always a great time. There's always lots to do, and there's even more to win. So last year, they doubled down on the raffle from 2024, and they doubled it. They gave away over $25,000 worth of great gear. Yes, Chris, that's what doubling down means. I know, sorry. But they gave away 3 Glocks in one day, in 4 hours, twice as much the year before, and that's a lot of raffling. Well, the vendors are so excited about this year's event, and the Glock store is as well, that they're going to double down again. So if you're keeping score, this is a quadruple down. That means that they have over $50,000 worth of great gear to give away in one day in 4 hours. From Red Dot Optics to Radian Ramjets, if it's the latest and greatest, they're giving them away on May 30th. So that favor that they wanted me to ask you, just come to the open house and win something. The earlier you show up, the less raffle tickets that will be in the bucket, which means the better your chances are of winning something and winning early. The Glock Store's 6th annual open house, Saturday, May 30th from 10 to 2. Myself, I'll be there. Dan Mandis, he'll be there. Matt Murphy will be there. We want to see you as well. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, especially on May 30th, and always open online, glockstore.com.
Meta leaving the state and scams in Nordstrom costing thousands. Those stories and more coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, man. Sounds good. Mason, they're taking over the news duties
I'm trying.
in the dust-encrusted news corner. I know. Isn't it great over there?
Yeah, if you had seen Sam earlier, he was like, what are you doing back there? And I was taking wipes and wiping down the board and little parts that I saw a little too gross.
Yeah. Sometimes when you work in an area or, you see something over and over again, it's almost like you forget that it's that gross and you get used to it. Yeah. So every once in a while I look at it too and I go, I clean my own house.
You sure those aren't just Ken's beard flakes?
Could be.
It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. Things happen here on the weekends that
we don't talk about.
Yes, we don't know about them, and I think we don't want to know, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
All right. So you may have been noticing that there's more Dr. Fauci pictures popping up in your timeline recently and sort of discussions about him. There's a reason for that, and that's because this past week, his advisor, David Morans, was indicted on charges of hiding records related to grants for EcoHealth Alliance. And it was what Fauci was associated with, EcoHealth Alliance. Well, now, I didn't realize this until I was reading about it today. May 11th is when the statute of limitations runs out on Fauci's 2021 testimony before Congress. And now Republican lawmakers are saying, and I'm sure you can guess which one is leading the charge here. It's Senator Rand Paul, who has obviously always had a thing against Fauci. And who else? It's Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, and Nancy Mace, who are all saying, get this guy out there, charge him, even though he's got that blanket protection that Joe Biden gave him, which goes back to Fauci has protection from 2014 onward. But now they're saying, Rand Paul is saying, hey, listen, if you thought that you couldn't get past gerrymandered states and the Supreme Court just overturned it, why are we not bringing up charges against Fauci? Let them go ahead and sue, and they will have to take it up the chain to the Supreme Court. They don't think the Supreme Court is going to think that this pardon that was given to them by Joe Biden will hold up in court, will hold up in the Supreme Court. So they're saying, get it done. They want him to be indicted for lying to Congress about NIH funding for gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. On May 11th, 2021, that was the last time that he spoke before Congress. And Rand Paul says, I've said it from the beginning, lying to Congress is a felony. Destroying federal records is a felony. And now they have some of his emails in which he told the receivers, destroy this email. So they're saying that Fauci is on the hot seat, and he may not be as protected as he thinks he is. We'll have to see. Circle it. Circle that May 11th date on your calendar and see if in the days between now and then, we've got 10 days, if anything comes out of the DOJ regarding this. I think we will see it. Okay, 9:30 here. Let's get you some news, and we'll be back in a minute.
It's 9:30. I'm Mason Fleming with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Police in California arresting 2 people in a scam where they allegedly bought luxury items at a Glendale Nordstrom, then returned counterfeits. Investigators say they suspect the genuine items were sold online. More from ABC's Niku Kazori. Come on.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, I was like, love it when my audio's not playing here. Give me just a second here.
Yeah.
This investigation began in February 2026 when a Nordstrom employee at the Americana spotted a suspicious return involving a counterfeit item. The store identified a pattern of questionable returns, including high-end items like designer handbags and clothing. Investigators then linked the activity to 2 Glendale residents, Arpina Sarkeesian and Argine Garapitian.
Investigators believe the two suspects made away with $300,000. Glendale Police Sergeant Mike Proboken.
Through the help of Nordstrom investigators and our detectives, they were able to piece together and identify that these two suspects had purchased 224 items from 2019 to today, and all 224 items were eventually returned.
And in social media news, Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, is threatening to take its ball and go home, at least in New Mexico. ABC's Jim Ryan says that's the company's response to a $375 million judgment returned by a jury in March.
New Mexico's Attorney General Raul Torres says his state's demands of Meta are not unreasonable.
Stop infinite scroll for underage users. Stop autoplay. We know those addictive features are really having a harmful impact on kids.
In a statement, Meta says it's met many of the state's demands. At the same time, quote, we may have no choice but to remove access to our platforms for users in New Mexico entirely. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And a mystery surrounding a missing Academy Award statuette now solved. ABC's Mike Dubusky has the details.
We know that Oscars are hard to get, but as it turns out, they're hard to hold on to as well. Pasha Talankin's Academy Award for this year's documentary, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, was flagged by security at JFK Airport in New York earlier this week, who said the gold statue could be used as a weapon. TSA instead put the statue in the belly of a Lufthansa jet where it disappeared for 2 days before being found this morning by airline officials.
That's the latest news. Weather up next. I'm Mason Fleming, WTN News.
The access to high-quality retirement savings accounts for millions of Americans. In my State of the Union earlier this year, I promised to make the same types of retirement accounts enjoyed by the federal employees available to all Americans. So that's what we're doing. It only seemed fair. It's really a tremendous situation for all Americans. That was really much promises made. As I say, promises kept. I'm thrilled.
He is thrilled, President Trump, there to announce that he's floating this idea of creating retirement accounts for employees that don't have workplace plans. And as he said, he mentioned this back in a State of the Union address in February, and we hadn't heard much about it since then. Joining us to talk about this and to kind of break it down, how this may help me, you, whomever, is Paul Winkler, who you hear all over the place on the airways here at WTN all the time. So I thought Paul would be the perfect guy to help us figure out what this means for us. Hey, Paul, good to have you with us.
Joan, it's always good. It's been a while since I've seen you,
I
so
know.
it's good to be on here with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so this executive order sets up something he calls TrumpIRA.gov. Of course, it has to have his name on it because everything does. Where he says that workers can research, compare, and then enroll in private sector retirement plans. And it covers about 56 million Americans. I would imagine there's guardrails on this, like who can take advantage of it and who can't. And there's even a $1,000 a year incentive involved in this.
Yeah, and the income limits are fairly low. Now, this isn't anything new. A lot of people think, this is brand new. This is an all-new program. It's actually replacing something that has been out there for quite a while called a saver's credit. So the idea, a lot of people, it's funny. It's one way to get your name on something. Just take something that's already there and change it just slightly. Yeah, that's basically what it is. So, the idea behind the Savers Credit is if your income was below certain levels, you were able to put money into an IRA, and then you would have a credit, a tax credit. So it's kind of like you got the money back in a way from the government.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, and when I first heard about this, when you had first shot me a message, I said, oh, gee, what is going on now? What's new? Is this in addition to that? What is it? And then I did some research on it, found that it was actually in lieu of it. And the idea being that you put money in this, companies that don't have 401ks, the first thing that went through my mind is this going to disincentivize companies from setting up 401ks? And all of a sudden, you know what I mean? What are the unintended consequences that could come as a result of this? But it's replacing the Savers Credit. And it's interesting because we did some research just for the fun of it because I'd never done this. We never see them. I never see this stuff. I virtually never have people come in and say, oh, I'm doing this thing and I'm getting the tax credit for it, for the IRA contribution. And when we found it was only like 3% of people eligible were actually using the Savers Credit.
What? That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So you can get, low-income Americans can get $1,000 per year doing this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the same thing that has been. It's that same level, and they were able to do the same thing. So you go, well, why? Well, it's interesting, and I think that one of my little passions is grabbing every designation I can and every educational degree that I can. And I got a master's in marriage and family therapy and psychology.
Nice.
And one of the things that I found as I got into the research about these biases that people have, cognitive biases is what we call them, is that people don't tend to take action on things. Like, for example, if you have a 401k at work and you go to the work for that company and they say, hey, I need to put some money in the 401k, you're probably not going to sign up for it. So one of the big things they've done recently is automate it. You go to work for a company.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It gets set up for you.
Yeah, because you won't opt out.
Right.
It's the way it works. And one of the things I do a lot of is, and the positive about all of this stuff is I do a lot of, I'll go over to Trevecca and they'll have me teach the investing classes over there when they have these programs, and I'll go over there and teach that kind of stuff. And one of the things I always start with the students is this. I go, name for me the most successful people that you can think of. Just raise your hand, name a person.
Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah, or think even bigger.
Oh,
Elon.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos, Larry Ellison, You got Bill Gates and Musk. All these guys are people that you know and people that you have heard of and you hear about in the news all the. And I'll say, what do they all have in common? What do they all have in common? And they'll sit there and think, I don't know. And I'll go, well, they all own businesses, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you can do as an investor in the stock market. You get to own businesses, but you don't have to have the hassle of running the business.
I love the way that I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. So you get to participate in American capitalism. I taught a workshop last night where I was walking through different areas of our lives: sanitation, child mortality, women in the workforce. I was walking through GDP. I was walking through all of these markers on what is success in America. And the point that I made was all around the world, and I had these little maps of various countries around the world, and I was showing through a time lapse how all of these things have improved due to capitalism. Everything has gotten better. And you go, well, why? Well, because capitalism forces us to be others-centered. You have to solve my problem for me to want to do business with you. And it is the only way to get people to do what they probably wouldn't do naturally. So that's the beauty of capitalism. Well, you can fund capitalism, with investing in the stock market.
Right. So with this program that the president was talking about yesterday, from my read of it, is that certain people can, if they invest $2,000, if they contribute $2,000 to a qualified retirement account, the government will match $1,000?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So if they want to set up one of these accounts, are you the kind of person that could help them set this up?
No, so this would actually be through the government.
Okay.
So this is only for people with incomes below $35,000 is what I've seen so far. So and those people don't tend to save because they don't think they can save.
Right. Right.
But it's interesting, Joan. I don't know if you ever read the book. There's a goofy book I refer to from time to time called The Richest Man in Babylon. And it was these two ne'er-do-wells. They couldn't rub two nickels together. They meet the richest man in Babylon. He's going to teach them how to be successful. And he says, bring all your friends together and all this stuff. And he says, a part of all you earn should be yours to keep. Now, we've heard that phrase forever, and that's where it came from, is that book, I think. That's your origin of it. Well, what he said in there was brilliant. He said, what do you do for a living? He gets all these people in a group. He says, what do you do for a living? I build houses. What do you do? I shoe horses. What do you do? I build carts. And he says, do you all make the same income? And they're like, well, no, how can we do different things? He says, how is it that you all end up with the same amount of money left over? Zero. He said, the reason is we tend to spend everything unless we protest the contrary. So the reality of it is if people would just, and I don't know if they could automate this type of thing. That was something that was postulated, that they could automate this thing and set it up so that people are automatically putting money away for this. And I don't know, it's on the table possibly. But I think that's what it's going to take for this to be successful. If you've only got 3% participating now, forget it.
So that's what they're talking about. One of the things that the president said is that what we want to do is have Congress get on this, make it so that it's something that has to get done so that people automatically do it. So that led me down to why would they do that? Are they doing that because, and talk me off the cliff if I need to be talked off the cliff, but are they doing that because they believe that Social Security isn't going to be there for everybody at some point?
No, I don't think that that's the case. We talk about Social Security problem. That's a whole different topic. But basically, we took all the surplus. We invested in government bonds. It's going to be spent down. We've heard 20% cut in benefits if they don't do anything. I think more of it is just getting people, think about it. Why are people different when they own homes versus rent homes?
Yeah.
They have pride of ownership.
Yep.
And if we can get people to participate in the stock market, be a part of the success, it makes them take pride in ownership, number one, I think is an important thing. But the other thing is this. Think about the pressure on other types of benefits. When I was teaching this workshop last night, I made a comment to my group. I said, did you realize that almost 1/2 of long-term care expenses, nursing home and those types of things, is paid for by welfare?
Wow.
And
yes.
Yeah, you think about that's powerful. How many people are not prepared for retirement?
Yes.
And there was an interesting study where they actually took brain scans of people and they said, I want you to think of yourself right now and I want you to think of some movie star. And they looked at the brain scan and said, oh, they're very different. Then they said, I want you to think of yourself 10 years from now. and that movie star. The brain scans became the same in critical areas. And what they found was that people think of themselves in the future as a stranger, and they will not save money for a stranger.
Oh, that's weird.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. So the good thing I think about, if people are starting to invest now is, holy cow, the stock market is zooming. And
Yeah.
again, today, we're looking at the Dow Jones is up 160 points after yesterday closing. The S&P closed at records yesterday. So,
Right.
it's starting off the month again in record territory. This is a great time to be investing. And President Trump just loves that, there's continued high marks being met daily, weekly on most of the indexes. So pretty incredible time to be investing. And
I'd rather be investing after the market goes down personally, but
Yeah, I guess that's right. So you begin to invest when the market's down, right? So that you get the
That's
gains.
right. Buy
when it
low,
goes
sell
up.
high, right?
That beats me. But all I know is when I look at my 401k, I'm not looking through, in between my fingers anymore.
Right.
Things are getting better, finally. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you can be reached in a million different ways, but tell us when's your show and how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, 3 to 5 every Saturday. Been doing that for 25 years
Wow.
now. And then, of course, the website, paulwinkler.com. We got videos. If you want people to learn about Social Security and Medicare and all that stuff, I've got videos on
Paul's
that,
the
too.
guy. Paul's the guy.
Thank
All
you.
right. Cool, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joan.
Okay. Some of the other things that were talked about yesterday at that press conference that President Trump had, the reporters were asking him about his physical safety. Listen to this.
How nervous are you about it happening again? Another assassination attempt?
I don't think about it.
You don't think about it at
And
all?
if I did, I wouldn't be doing a very good job here. I'd be thinking about nothing but that. I don't think about it.
I don't think about it. I don't think about it, he said. And then, and then they asked him, well, you could be wearing a bulletproof vest when you go out on your different appearances.
Is there talks about you potentially wearing a bulletproof vest moving forward, given you have now been shot at?
I don't
so
know if I
many
can
times?
handle looking 20 pounds heavier. These guys, they look so good. Some of these guys are physical specimens.
Physical specimens. He doesn't want to add 20 pounds. He has a way of just charming everyone in the room.
If you want to gain 20 to 25 pounds, get a vest. And live, frankly, the vest did an amazing job because it took a bullet close up. And he didn't even want to go to the hospital. I mean, we sent him to the hospital just in case, but he didn't want, still like.
Yeah. So there you go. President Trump talking about not wearing a vest because it's going to add 20 pounds to him. He's out today speaking at a school. He's got another event. It's down in Florida. And I was watching some online video. The people were lining the streets early on this morning, like 5 o'clock this morning, lines down the block, around the block, down the street, because they want to reach out and see this president. So he's got a busy day today, and so do we. Coming up here on Super Talk 99.7, of course, we've got Mason. He's got the headlines coming up. But there's also the news broke this week that the UAE plans to leave OPEC. And guess what? It happened today. So that's coming up a couple of minutes down the road here on the show. Let's get you caught up on some commercials here. I'm going to reset a little bit, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Got a couple lane closures on the road with with one lane open over in Jolton off 24 eastbound at Whites Creek Pike at exit 35, and bridge joint repair with the left 2 lanes blocked off 65 southbound at Rivergate Parkway exit 96 in Goodlettsville. Officers injured after house explosion and Iran conflict affecting people's pockets. Those stories and more coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
9:56 here. Joan Jones filling in for Chris Hand today. And if you need your hand fix, you can catch him around 3 o'clock this afternoon. He is filling in for Matt Murphy. So you'll even get an extra hour of him because he goes 3 until 7. Isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
A lot of yapping from Chris Hand this afternoon.
Somehow I think he'll be able to cover it. No problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I think he'll be okay.
So I was talking earlier about how this is May Day and how a lot of people are, out there doing their protesting. And hey, if you're not protesting, the man, whatever, like you're part of the problem. So I'm encouraging you to be part of the problem today, of course. So one super texter texted in and said, that it kind of plays into their hand because this is from 9421. It plays into our hand. I had already planned on taking my wife out to dinner tonight, and now I know I don't have to deal with liberals when I'm out at the restaurant. That's pretty cool. And then we had somebody else who said that they were on their way to the store right now. So, yeah, I would encourage you, go out to the store, go out and do something fun, buy some flowers, make somebody's day happy, whatever. Also, Jason wanted to know, Jason wanted to know if there are going to be any growls today. So, there you go, Jason. There's a growl for you. I was noticing this story. Yeah, Mason, you guys can stop laughing in there. Noticed the story today on the Channel 4 website. This family in Spring Hill just got a bill for $7,000 from the power company. Because the power company made a mistake. This family, the power company, by the way, is Columbia Power and Water Systems. They said that they owe a back bill for $7,454. The reason that they owe it is because when this couple bought their townhome in 2020, the power company mistakenly assigned the wrong power meter to them. So this whole time they've been paying the usage for the HOA instead of paying for their own townhome. And their own townhome uses more than the HOA. Now, what does the HOA have, an office there or something? I don't know. But the power company, Columbia Power and Water Systems, is charging this family with a $7,454 retroactive bill. They say, it doesn't matter that it was our mistake. You owe this. So now there are a lot of questions like, why is Columbia Power and Water not answering questions? How does that happen? And why is it the customer's responsibility to make up for an issue that you made the mistake over? The company says that Tennessee Valley Authority says that they are required to get all the money that they're due, even though there is a state law that says they can charge back 3 years and then drop the rest of it. I'm going to wait to see what the result of this is. Hopefully, Channel 4 will continue to follow this in the news because it's pretty interesting. 10 o'clock here. Let's get updated from Mason, and we will catch you on the other side. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 10 o'clock. I'm Mason Fleming with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Several NYPD officers were hurt last night after a man intentionally detonated a home during what police say was a domestic dispute. The explosion tore through the residence as officers were responding to the scene. Authorities say the blast was deliberately triggered by the suspect inside. Investigators are now working to determine what led up to the confrontation with the deadly decision to ignite the home. ABC's C-Fan Kim is in Queens with the latest.
It is an explosion that leveled the Queens home and almost killed 8 NYPD officers.
You all right?
An estranged husband was threatening to harm his family and himself. Investigators say he broke into the basement unit where his wife, daughter, and 2 grandchildren live by pushing in the window AC unit. The family safely escaped and called 911. Police say he entered the home with 2 trash bags full of gas canisters, a giant hole now where the home once stood. The suspect buried under the rubble after he lit himself on fire.
The officers were on scene rescuing the suspect's wife, daughter, and 2 grandchildren. Stephanie Ramos takes it from there.
The blast knocking them to the ground.
You all right? The guy just lit the house on fire. We had an explosion.
The officers racing to rescue anyone inside.
Come here, have some
The 7 officers treated for injuries at the hospital have since been released. The suspect's body found under the rubble. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, New York.
More than 2 months after it passed, the U.S.-Iran conflict shows little sign of ending. ABC's Jim Ryan says the war is affecting Americans' ability to afford the basics.
A new ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll shows Americans by and large agree with Brenda, who lives in Texas.
It's a struggle every day for everybody. Food is ridiculous. Gas, utilities.
The survey of 2,560 adults finds that 23% are falling behind financially, up from 17% in February. Brenda says she's feeling it firsthand.
There's nothing left to even put into savings.
Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And a key congressional deadline has approached. The White House is now saying the war in Iran is legally over. ABC News national correspondent Steve Portnoy has the latest from Washington.
The War Powers Act requires the president to terminate any use of the military after 60 days unless Congress votes to authorize force. When it comes to Iran, that hasn't happened. But a senior administration official citing the ongoing ceasefire says for the purposes of the 1973 law, the hostilities in Iran have terminated. That despite the ongoing U.S. blockade of ships heading to or from Iranian ports, which has seen the U.S. Navy using live fire to enforce it.
That's the latest news, weather, and traffic up next. I'm Mason Fleming, WTN News.
Hey there, it's Joan here. It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm watching the TV right now, and CNN's all over it. It's $4.39 a gallon now. AAA gas prices, everything's gone up. It's a crisis, ladies and gentlemen, but there was something that happened this week that kind of, it was earth-shattering in the world of oil and gas, but I don't think it's something that we're going to get the long-term effects of, at least right away. So what it was that the United Arab Emirates announced that they were pulling out of the cartel known as OPEC, and by the way, they're doing it fast, and so it took effect today. Let's bring in Phil Flynn here from the Price Futures Group. Phil is an expert in black gold Texas tea. Isn't that right, Phil? There we go. Hiya, Phil.
There we go.
I pressed the wrong button. Sorry. Phil Flynn
That's all right.
is.
I do that every day. Every day I do that, so don't feel bad.
That's awesome. Phil Flynn with the Price Futures Group. You have a blog, and the title of your blog this week I thought was really funny. It said, "Mother of Mercy is at the end of OPEC." Kind of feels like that's possible here. Like someone, you know, like we have a big game of Jenga going and someone just pulled out the center peg.
It is. It's like, oh my gosh, is this the end of OPEC? Oh no, but it could be. I mean,
yeah.
And again, if you look at, you know, everybody's complaining about the Iran war, whether we should have done it, we should have waited. I think we're starting to see the benefits of putting the Iranian regime in their place. And one of the things that exposed was the fact that Iran would attack anybody, you know, if it was in their own best interest. And one of the things that they had done is they attacked the United Arab Emirates, who had nothing to do with anything.
Right, over and over again.
Over and over again. In fact, they took more, missiles and stuff from Iran and drone attacks than even Israel. And it's like, well, hey, what did we do? So I think that was one of the catalysts to leaving, but I think it was even bigger than that. The United Arab Emirates feels like they've been in Saudi Arabia's shadow for years. I think they want to be on their own dime. And I think after this war is over, they're starting to realize that they could really raise their production, take advantage of these other countries that are going to take a long time to come back, and they could dominate the region and, you know, start challenging Saudi Arabia to be OPEC's biggest producer in the future.
So the UAE, right there in the Strait of Hormuz, you would think that they have to use the strait in order to get their product out into the open waters and to the rest of the world, but they don't. They've got a pipeline that they can use to help them get their oil transported, just like Saudi Arabia does. How much, if they go ahead and raise the amount of production, do they have the infrastructure to be able to get it out without using the Strait of Hormuz?
Better than some of the other OPEC nations where their production is locked because of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, we know that Saudi Arabia has the East-West pipeline. They're maxing that out, so they're getting some out. But as a percentage of production, the UAE is better slated to do that than everybody else because they have their own pipeline and they have different logistics. So they're exporting right now 50% of their production. As opposed to some of these OPEC countries where 100% is shut in. And I think they see this as an opportunity because they realize that they can continue to get market share that the other ones are usually had. And so this will, help them economically and really put them in a strong position once they leave the OPEC cartel, which is today, by the way.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's fast forward a few years maybe. OPEC dissolves. Everybody decides they're going to drop out. Do we care? I mean, does this, in my opinion, it helps the world to sort of open up to free market trade, to supply and demand, and it allows prices to be, instead of artificially, propped up, it allows the market to determine if the oil is going to be and gasoline is going to be pricey or not.
You're absolutely right. And, I think, people have to remember, I'm old enough to remember where OPEC, the cartel was like one of the biggest enemies of the United States.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
We all remember the Arab oil embargo, and everybody thought, oh my gosh, you have a picture of rich sheiks pumping gas and stealing money, and they were using that as a weapon. So collusion in global markets is a bad thing. Now, over the years, OPEC tried to evolve, and they did in some ways. They kind of saw themselves as the global central bank of oil, right? When prices got too high, we'll pump more, and if it goes too low, it'll pump less. And I think some people in the energy industry are kind of okay with that, right? But when you have people colluding in a free market, that does, take away opportunities from other producers. Like here in the United States, we've got into price wars with Saudi Arabia and everything else. They tried to sink our energy industry. So good old-fashioned competition, I think, is better. Free markets for free men is always the best solution over time.
So we've been hearing all about this, that ships are stacking up in the Gulf of America. They're buying American oil. Is that really a thing? And could it turn into sort of a long-term investment in U.S. oil that could really benefit us?
It's not only a thing. It right now.
Yeah.
We exported, and I'm still stunned. I threw a little party for this one, but we exported more oil products, more crude oil, more gasoline, more diesel in 1 week, more than any other country in the history of the globe. I tried to go back. I go, has anybody exported, 14 million barrels plus a product in 1 week? And I couldn't find anybody. 14 million barrels a day. And so that was a stunning number. And I do think it shows that President Trump's vision of energy dominance is coming to fruition, right? If we can get rid of the bad actors in OPEC, which has held the American hostage, economically, or if you can get rid of the Iranian regime that is sponsoring terror, and one of the dynamics that allows that to happen is take away their power, right? And I mean, one of the things they've held over the head of the world is energy. OPEC used it as a political weapon against the United States back in the day. You had, of course, Russia. They've, of course, held they're part of the OPEC group, not officially, but they're the OPEC plus Russia. They use their energy dominance over Europe to help support them during the Ukraine war. So, yes, I think the changing of the world, looking at the U.S. as the most reliable, fair producer on the planet, is only going to benefit the world for years to come.
So we also were hearing that if Iran can't get their oil out, which at the moment allegedly it can't, that their reserves would pile up, that they'd have to cap their oil wells, that doing so would essentially put them into a position where they couldn't even begin to pump oil again because it would be so costly for them to restart their pumps. Is that playing out? Is that what you're seeing happening with Iran right now?
It's more than likely it's going to happen. It's not happening right now.
Okay.
But there's no doubt that they're using every bit of storage they can find to put oil away. And the longer the blockade goes on, the bigger chance that they're going to have to start, shutting down these wells. And that's a huge risk for them. Mm-hmm. I've talked to people who are experts in this part of the industry, and they're saying you just never know, right? If you cap that well, they may never be able to get those wells back to the previous production levels. Once you shut those wells, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
It could go back into the ground. It can mix with water. It can mix with stuff. So this could be the end of Iranian oil production as a powerhouse. And the thing is that they probably are going to need U.S. technology to fix it. And I don't think they're on good terms with us right now.
Yeah.
So this is another reason why the blockade is putting significant pressure on Iran. And I think it's one of the reasons why Iran came back with a proposal, even though they're talking tough. I think at the end of the day, they know their days are numbered because they're on the verge of a major financial collapse if they can't keep that oil flowing.
All right. Let's shift over here to the U.S. because one of the things that President Trump talked about yesterday was that he's just announced a Keystone XL pipeline, sort of the same thing, but maybe he's running in a different... I didn't really understand what this pipeline is that he was talking about yesterday. What do you know about it?
I mean, listen, the Keystone Pipeline story is one that we should focus on, because by killing the Keystone Pipeline is one of the reasons why we're seeing gasoline prices as high as they are right now. Because if we didn't kill that pipeline, we would be getting oil down from Canada. It would be replacing a lot of the Iranian oil. And that was a big thing. And, we had a previous administration that was anti-pipeline. Oh, we don't want a pipeline. We'd rather move it a lot more dangerously through cars and stuff. It's like, come on, what are you guys thinking? It was a political decision. The only reason they made the decision was to kick Donald Trump in the teeth because, they didn't like it. But even though it had no impact on climate change. So now you're bringing in a new pipeline that's going to move heavy Canadian oil, which is in strong demand because of what's going on with Iran. We need that heavy oil. We have diesel shortages, and it's going to move from Canada to Wyoming, where they can refine that stuff and get it out to the world and replace some of the lost barrels that we're seeing from Iran and OPEC. And, it's kind of funny. This is where you get into climate change hysteria. Everybody's like, oh, we got to get rid of diesel fuel, and nobody wants to use diesel. And it's like, well, diesel fuel is still used in the world. And when we closed down these refineries and we killed the pipelines and we didn't want to make this stuff, now we have shortages.
Yeah.
And the first time you have a blip, and believe it or not, manufacturing around the world needs diesel-like fuel. Jet fuel needs that kind of heavy fuel. And if you don't get it, it's a big blow to the economy. And that's the reason why this pipeline is so important.
All right. I got about a minute left here, and I want for you to look into your Phil Flynn crystal ball. And Americans, of course, we're dealing with the higher gas prices right now. And I know that it takes a while for lower oil prices to turn into lower gas prices as well. Tell me what you think. Is there lower gas prices coming? And can you take a guess as to when you think that's going to happen?
Hopefully it's going to happen relatively soon. I mean, we saw a major price spike. I think AAA, we saw gasoline prices up to $4.39 a gallon. I mean, that was up 9 cents from the day before. It was up, almost 30 cents from a week ago, 25 cents from a week ago. So we saw this big spike. Now, a lot of people think it's all about the war, and yeah, that's part of it. But also part of it is because we have refinery maintenance. We had a refinery fire, so we had a shutdown in inventories causing this squeeze on supply. So my hope is that once we get through that hiccup, prices will level out. They'll start to come back down. Now, you have heard people who are saying, gas is going to $5 a gallon national average.
Yeah.
Well, they've got a long way to go. We've got another, 70 cents to get there or so. But, more than likely it's going to level off. And I will tell you this, we're going to see workarounds through the Strait of Hormuz that are going to come into play. And if Iran, cries uncle, President Trump's going to be right. I think gasoline prices will plummet.
Oh, that'll be
so
cool.
We'll get a benefit.
We'll love that.
Just keep in mind, as bad as it feels right now, gas prices were above $5 a gallon during the Russian-Ukraine war. So
yes.
Considering the fact that this disruption is a real disruption, a major disruption, I think the way the Trump administration has managed it has kept us from getting to that $5 area by lifting the Jones Act and things like that.
Yes, that was important. All right, Phil, how can people find you online? Where can they follow you?
Yeah. Well, they can email me at pflynn@pricegroup.com, and you can get my free energy report. It doesn't even cost a penny. I know, it sounds so socialist of me, but it is Mayday, so what the heck,
Good. I hope you go out shopping and do something wonderful today. Phil Flynn from the Price, what is the Price Futures Group? Is that right? Did I get it right?
That is perfect.
Okay, great.
You got it right.
Phil, you're always such a pleasure to talk to. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Joan.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. Coming up here on Super Talk 99.7, I have a problem. I have an embarrassing, horrible problem that I think only Tennesseans can really help me with. And I will explain all of that to you and seek some help from you and open the phone lines a bit too in the moments ahead. Right now, 10:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I have an embarrassing, horrible problem that I think only Tennesseans can really help me with. And I will explain all of that to you and seek.
Here from my friends at United Structural Systems. When you start noticing cracks in the walls, uneven floors, or your driveway sinking and separating, it's more than a home issue, guys. It's a peace of mind issue. That's why who you choose for foundation repair and concrete leveling really matters. The guys we trust, United Structural Systems. You've heard them talking about us for years because they've been doing the job the right way for decades. Since 1994, right here in Tennessee, USS doesn't believe in quick fixes or scare tactics. They'll take the time to inspect, explain what's happening, and walk you through real, proven solutions that are built to last. Whether your home needs foundation stabilization or crawl space repair or concrete leveling for sinking sidewalks, patios, driveways, USS uses engineered systems designed for long-term performance, not temporary patches. And what's going to stand out to you and stands out to me is their commitment to integrity. If you don't need repairs, guess what they're going to say? You don't need repairs. It's that simple. And if you need something done, you're going to know exactly why before the work begins. From the jump, the initial inspection to the final repair, USS is going to listen, they're going to educate, and then they're going to deliver results that you can trust. So you'll feel confident that your home is safe and today and the protection is there for the future. With decades of experience, thousands of homes repaired, you can trust United Structural Systems. Learn more and schedule your inspection at USSTN.com, USSTN.com.
An update on the death of Jeffrey Epstein and self-driving semi-trucks. Those stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Let's just say he didn't kill himself. We all know it's true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'm leaning.
Yeah.
Joan, that's crazy talk.
I know. Silly of me.
It's like jet fuel melting steel beams.
Right. Stop it. All right. President Trump yesterday talking about Venezuela and their Texas tea. Hold on.
And where we're doing great. We're getting along with them great. We're working very closely with them. They're doing more oil now than they've done in many, many decades, actually. And they're making more money, and so are we. You know, it's like a joint venture, to be honest. And we've paid for the attack many times over. The attack, something you've never heard before, probably. I always used to say to the victor, belong the spoils, but we've paid for the attack, which is always expensive. But it was a less than 1 day attack. It was actually a 45-minute attack. And that's a good, you know, they have a good military in Venezuela, but they did not expect that and that and that and that. Other than that.
So, yeah, we paid for the attack on Venezuela to capture Maduro. We've already paid with it using their oil because we sold it. And to the victor goes the spoils. I mean, I think that the president is right there. He had so many little gems during that press conference, during that White House signing yesterday. It was a lot of fun to watch. Okay, so here we are, 10:26. I got a couple of minutes here. And I want to tell you what it is that happened to me that I need help with, because I never ran across this before in my life as a New Jersey or a Maryland resident. As I choke here. Sorry about that. The other day, I guess so today's Friday. This happened on Wednesday. I went out to the garden to get some roses. And as I'm clipping the roses, make a little, display in the home. Thought it would be so nice because the first roses are just beautiful. And as I'm clipping, I'm feeling something at my ankles. And I look down, and I had stepped in an anthill. And there are ants all over my feet. And that surprise that those little teeny tiny ants, and they are teeny tiny, could be causing that much pain was so shocking. I think I stood there for an extra beat while they were eating my legs. These ants are horrendous. And what I've been left with is that my feet are 3 times the size that they would normally be. I think I'm allergic. And so I know, and it's an anthill that we missed. We understood when we moved here. People told us, make sure you keep the ant hills knocked down, use this, use that. And we're really usually very good with it. But these ants got to my feet, and I am suffering. I mean, it's that kind of itch. Tell me if you've ever experienced this before, RJ. It's that kind of itch that when you are in bed and you move your feet across the sheets, it itches so much it makes you it gives you the chills. It itches so badly.
Haven't had that with ants, but I've had a few wasp stings in my back that would
yes.
probably rival it.
So I'm having a lot of trouble with this. Somebody said fire ants? It's unbelievable how much this hurts and how much this itches. So I thought maybe somebody could help me. Do you have a homemade remedy for bringing down the swelling, B, stopping the itch so much? Because Benadryl. Yeah, I guess Benadryl might work. I don't know. I'm going to try that. I will ask for more information from anybody who wants to chime in on the super text line. Tell me what to do. 615-737-9986. Also, you can call, let us know what you're thinking about the show today so far, since I'm just sitting in for Chris. B, how to help me with my fire ant problem. Give us a call. I mean, I'd love to. I've had the phone lines off for most of the show so far. So I'd love to hear from people. Please do.
Shout out to Cosmo on the YouTube live chat. It says Benadryl, itch cream, calamine lotion, or witch hazel.
Witch hazel. Okay. All good suggestions. Thank you. All right. So taking your phone calls, taking your text coming up here in the moments ahead. Let's get updated here with Mason on the news. It's 10:30 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 10:30. I'm Mason Fleming with your top stories. Full forecast in 5 minutes. A federal judge in New York is now being asked to unseal a purported suicide note written by convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Fake.
The New York Times says Epstein's former cellmate found the note apparently written before Epstein's first suicide attempt in July of 2019.
Fake.
More from ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky.
His cellmate, convicted quadruple murderer Nicholas Tartaglione, said he found a note from Epstein on paper from a yellow legal pad that read in part, "Time to say goodbye." Federal prosecutors in New York said they did not know of such a note, but it appears to be referenced in a two-page timeline contained in the Epstein files that said sometime between July 23rd and July 27th, NT found the note.
The note is part of a sealed file in Tartaglione's case. His lawyer claims to have authenticated the note, but didn't say how. There is also rumor that Epstein met with his psychologist earlier that week.
Epstein told a jail psychologist, "I have no interest in killing myself," and he said he lives to have fun, to enjoy life, and to learn. Weeks later, he died by suicide in his cell.
A fully autonomous semi-truck has just made a 230-mile delivery run across Texas. The vehicle drove itself from Houston to Dallas using Bot Auto's self-driving system. No human sat behind the wheel during the trip, and the load arrived on time. The company's VP of engineering says this proves that technology is ready for the real-world freight.
We go where sometimes humans do not want to go. I-45 is very challenging. There's a lot of traffic.
And in Iran provided a revised proposal, but it isn't enough to bring everyone back to the bargaining table. ABC's foreign correspondent Tom Sufi Burge has the details.
We don't know what's in the proposal. It was passed to the Pakistanis as the mediators. I think that's normal. They're not negotiating in public here. And it is a positive sign. It confirms that there are low-level talks between the US and Iran via the mediators. But I think we're still at a stage where this is talks about talks. These low-level officials trying to work out each other's red lines, seeing if the red lines align enough for there to be formal, higher-level talks that would actually be therefore pushing for a deal.
That's the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Mason Fleming, WTN News.
10:36 here on your Friday morning. I'm Joan Jones. I am not Chris Hand, but you can catch him later on. He'll be on at 3 o'clock. And of course, I have gotten so many nice things from people who have remedies for the fire ant problem that I'm having with my feet. But first, I have to do this one first. Mason, this one's for you. Someone has texted in and said, "Why is MF spreading fake news?" Because he's the nicest MF we know. Mason's not there, is he?
No, I think he stepped out.
He missed it. Okay, that's all right. We'll go back to MF. People, of course, are saying Benadryl. Definitely Benadryl. Somebody here said 8339. Benadryl, ice water, oatmeal, and ibuprofen. Wow, that's a lot. That's a big mix. Somebody else texted me personally and said that they release a toxin. So if you use Benadryl, it takes care of that. Others are saying that you have to take... Oh, that was for the mound. They said they use gasoline to light the mound on fire. It's right near the house. I don't think I'm going to be doing that. Steve in Springfield, what am I going to do about this fire ant bites on my legs?
So I used to be stationed in Florida, and fire ants are horrible.
Oh, yes.
And the gasoline is almost the trick, but if you don't kill the queen, all they're going to do is move the nest.
Oh.
What we used to do is take a garden hose and push it down in the center of the hole as deep as it would go, and it would go like 3 or 4 feet. And then we'd pour gas down the middle of it. We wouldn't light it, but that would help kill the queen. About 90% of the time, that would work.
How about that?
You might be able to use motor oil, something that's not as flammable.
Okay.
Something that's not, or castor oil.
So we did buy something from the store that works nicely on it. This one just happened to pop up. I wasn't looking, and I was out there in my bare feet. How dumb is that? So
I didn't realize they were in Tennessee already.
If they're fire ants, and I've seen red ants in Florida, it's not that. They're tiny little black ants, and they're super tiny. And
that's not a fire ant. Fire ants are red, and their mounds are usually almost 6 inches tall.
Yeah.
And about 2-3 feet around almost sometimes.
All right, I'm going to tell my husband about the whole gasoline thing. We'll try that.
Well, I don't think you got fire ants, but it sounds like you got something that's a little vicious.
They're little vicious things. That's right. All right. And I'd like to set them on fire. Steve, thank you so much for calling. Somebody else said, yeah, they're small black ants, not fire ants. Hot water and Dawn over the hill. So, maybe you can kill the queen by using a little Dawn. Maybe she doesn't like to work and get her hands wet, so she'll get out of the hill. They say there's granular. There's a granular to kill the ants, and that is what my husband usually uses. But it's not, honestly, it's not the hill that I'm worried about because we pretty much have handled them. It's just that I am so bitten up in my legs. 5671. Use vinegar. Vinegar will do that. Somebody else said Vicks Vapo Rub. That's hysterical. 1683. Vicks Vapo Rub works. Do you know how many things that I'll be trying this afternoon when I get home? Somebody else said and I can't, of course, now I can't find it, but to take an aspirin, crush it up, and mix it with something and rub it over. Baking soda, maybe. Castor oil. The most amazing suggestions I have ever seen. Judith in Eagleville, tell me how it is that I can get rid of this incredible itch and the swelling in my feet.
Well, hello, are you there?
I am. Go ahead, Judith.
My husband, we moved from the city to the country, and we had never experienced these red ants either, or the fire ants. And my husband got into a pile of them, and he went into anaphylactic shock.
Oh.
And so we have to use epinephrine, and he has to go straight to the hospital.
No, oh, my
But
goodness.
What we have found is there's a product at Tractor Supply, and it is in a little bottle, and it's called Wisdom. And commercial people use this. It's for ants, spiders, everything. And we'll go out. We have numerous ant piles in our yard. And we go out, and I have a stick that I break the mound open, and he starts spraying this Wisdom on it with like a 2 or 3 gallon sprayer, and it kills them immediately.
I love that. Okay, I'm going to go to Tractor Supply and look for some Wisdom. Wow, that's pretty incredible. And then there was one more that I wanted to share with you guys. Somebody, John in Lawrenceburg, says, "This is. I think he's busting my stones. I don't think that he's serious about this, because if I do this, my husband will think I'm a nutball. Soak some brown paper in vinegar and then wrap your feet and ankles with it, even while you sleep. Also, put your feet in plastic bags so you don't get the bedding wet. In the morning, all will be well." It'll also be very quiet in bed, because I don't think my husband's going to like the whole wrap my feet in plastic and brown paper and vinegar. Oh, my goodness. Incredible suggestions. Thanks, everyone. I am going to take all these actually home and read through what they are and see if I can get rid of this in some way. It's just crazy. It's crazy and it's itchy, and I've never seen anything like this. And I don't know if it's just that I have a reaction to it, or if everybody gets like this. Okay, 10:43. Let's get back on track here, because there was it wasn't a press conference. This was Pete Hegseth appearing yesterday before the Senate Armed Services Committee. He had done the House Armed Services Committee the day before. So he's at this point, I think, fed up to here with the left, the leftist senators talking down to him, saying crazy things. And he sounded like he had just had it yesterday. But he did manage to talk about the secret sauce that has led to the revival of the U.S. military. And he threw out so many gems yesterday. I just had to share them with you.
I haven't talked about it as much in these hearings because this is a budget hearing about $1.5 trillion that's historic and significant. But underwriting the change that we've seen at our department was a laser focus on getting back to basics. And the key word to that is merit. We had a department that was obsessed with gender, ideology, and race, diversity, equity, and inclusion. In fact, the mantra you would hear dripping from the lips of generals and with a serious look on their face was, "Our diversity is our strength," which is the single dumbest phrase in military history. Of course, our diversity is not our strength. Our unity is our strength.
You tell him, Pete.
Our shared purpose, the flag we wear, and the Constitution we serve to defend. And when you clear that debris away, whether it's Marxist ideologies or social engineering or political correctness or quotas based on gender and diversity, you get the best of the best rising up, regardless of gender, regardless of race, motivated by that environment where merit reigns. It's accountability, standards, lethality, readiness, training, all the debris wiped away. That is the secret sauce of the revival of the War Department. And
yeah, I just love that, the secret sauce, and that the way that he said, dripping from the lips of the previous admirals and leaders of the military. He's right. I mean, it was the worst of times in our U.S. military, and Pete has brought it back. But he had to sit before these senators yesterday and get bombarded by things like this from the insufferable Alyssa Slotkin, playing games again with hypothetical situations. And she knows he's not going to respond to this ridiculous notion.
He asks you to seize ballots or voting machines in states during the 2026 election. Will you stand up for the Constitution and say no, or will you salute and do his bidding?
Senator, I didn't get a chance to answer the front part of your question, which, there was a lot of deferred maintenance under the Biden administration that needed to be addressed because the world was in chaos when President Trump was elected.
Just address the election issue, please.
Well, again, that's
the most important thing. It's what's happening.
It's yet another gotcha hypothetical, which is your specialty.
It's not. We had
and
an
ultimately,
executive order
under
from
the Biden
you that your
administration in
predecessor had to
2024.
hold. It's not a hypothetical. I refuse to accept. You give that answer all the time. You and I have done this dance before. Get over it, okay?
That she speaks to him with that manner of voice, get over it. It makes me want to take these two fingers and poke her right in the eyes.
2020, he's the president, your boss, the guy you're performing for right now, told the journalists this year that he wished he signed that executive order to your predecessor. And your predecessor said publicly, thank God, we didn't actually go forward with it. What are you going to do? You're the guy here in the seat. It's not hypothetical. Tell the American people, will you deploy the uniformed military to our polls to collect voter rolls or machines?
Are you accusing me of performing? Because you're performing for cable news right now.
But Mr. You are performing for cable news, woman. She was. And that whole scene is so uncomfortable. And Mark Kelly, the other of the six, seditious six, he was sitting next to her, arms folded, looking like he's so mean and tough. These guys are insane. Today, they're after him again because today is the day that the War Powers Resolution comes into play regarding the Iran war. It's today it was in 1973 that they passed this War Powers Resolution, and it says that the president is required to notify Congress within 48 hours of military action and then withdraw troops 60 days later. Today, May 1st, marks 60 days. So President Trump can withdraw troops. He can also go ahead and give a notification that he wants to extend that period for another 30 days. It's kind of a gotcha because if he does send them a message and say, hey, I want to extend my time there in Iran for another 30 days, he acknowledges that there is a war going on, and that makes him susceptible, I believe, to a whole host of things that he doesn't want to go down that road. So far today, he has not done that. Pete Hegseth said yesterday that actually, we're not in a period of war right now because we're in a ceasefire. And as long as we're in a ceasefire, there's no need for the war powers. We're not even close to that end of that 60 days. And we've been in the ceasefire since, I think, April 8th. Check me on that. But I think it's April 8th that we started the ceasefire. So he says the countdown clock isn't on right now. And we're just waiting for Iran to respond and come to the table again. So there is no war going on, and there's no need to address the War Powers Resolution. Whether or not this gets handled today, I don't know. But we're going to keep on top of it. He also had an exchange with someone else yesterday who made fun of him for his faith. And I want to play that for you coming up. I mean, just be prepared to want to poke somebody else's eyes out with your two fingers because these people are insufferable. I'll play that for you next coming up here. It's 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, drivers, we got stuff in the way. In fact, a closure in East Nashville. Gallatin Pike closed between Delmas Avenue and Lytton Avenue due to some downed power lines. In Jolton, we got some road work. One lane open only, 24 eastbound at Whites Creek Pike. And Operation Epic Fury update. A new development we'll tell you about. Iran providing a revised proposal. This coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10:55 here, and that, of course, is Ken Weaver.
What's going on, Sister Joan?
I think you're like the only person who's in your right place today in the whole lineup of this radio station.
I believe that I am.
Chad Benson, I think, is also in today, so that would solve that. Yeah, so, yeah.
And Brother Bilal. He'll be in there.
Bilal is here as well. Yes. But it's wonderful. I love it. I'm sitting in today for Chris Hand, and you can hear Chris Hand today, who's filling in for Matt Murphy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a little bit of, change of the guard today. Did you hear the baby news?
I did not.
You didn't hear baby news?
I did not.
Check this out.
Okay.
Caroline Levitt had her baby today.
Oh, well.
Yeah, little girl. She really did work up until the last day, didn't she?
Absolutely. She was at work just a couple of days.
My girl
she
came
was
back.
at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
She was. And then she came back Monday just to set the record straight for everything that was happening.
Yeah.
And then she had the baby today. So that girl is a worker. But they still don't know who's going to replace her in the White House, which I thought was very interesting. Deal with more of that in just a couple of minutes. I don't know if you heard any of what happened yesterday in the Senate with Pete Hegseth and the Democrats who were grilling him and calling him out and just impugning his character in any way that they could. This is a guy named Jack Reed. I don't know what he's a Democrat senator. I don't know which state he's from, and I could look it up in a second, but I just wanted to make sure I played this. This is him eviscerating Pete because of his faith.
Well, I think that direction from your behavior is an intense interest in Christianity, in nationalism, and in not recognizing the talents of women and non-white gentlemen, and that's the wrong direction.
I don't know what you're insinuating, Senator, but I am not ashamed of my faith in Jesus Christ.
Well, you shouldn't be ashamed.
And if you want to shame me for it, go ahead.
I'm not shaming you, but are you critical of other faiths?
I am a believer. I'm quite open in that, and our department allows for a multitude of faiths. So I don't know what you're suggesting. I've heard the likes of things that people like you suggest to try to smear my character, and I won't give into it.
Yeah, I know what he's suggesting there, Pete. He's suggesting that you are a white nationalist. Oh, my goodness. It's unbelievable. This is the same stuff that the guy on Channel 5, what's his name? I wish I could recall his name right away. We talk about him all the time on the morning show with Dan Mandis, but he also is so hyper-focused on this issue of being a white nationalist and how it's to be not trusted, and we are the right-wingers, and we're dangerous. Oh, my goodness. There was one other person yesterday who made news about Pete Hegseth, and he had to say this. This is Seth Moulton, who is on the Armed Services Committee, a former U.S. Marine. I'm going to say, I know Marines say you're never former, but this guy is former. He is not a Marine. He's a jerk.
And on top of that, we then have the strike where they came back and hit it again, a double tap, just purely to kill these survivors who were clinging to.
He's talking about the narco boats when they were blowing them up.
You know, it's interesting, Aaron, another historical analogy. Back in World War II, the Allies tried Nazi submarine captains for doing this exact same thing. And guess what the conclusion was? They got executed. Listen to that, Mr. Secretary.
That was Aaron Burnett.
And on top of that, we then have the strike where they came
and she put her head down like, oh, holy cow, he just suggested that Pete Hegseth be executed for doing exactly what he is supposed to be doing, which is keeping drugs away from the United States. He's protecting the shores of the United States. These people are insane. They have lost their marbles. And of course, we could play you that all day long, every day. But instead, we're going to play some Jessica Tarloff for you coming up, which I'm sure you're just going to love. It's almost 11 o'clock here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's get updated here with Ken Weaver in the newsroom.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And right now, about 78 miles west of Nashville, a manhunt is underway in Stewart County for a man accused of shooting his wife. Deputies say Craig Berry ran off into the woods near Old Paris Highway when officers arrived early this morning. Berry considered armed and dangerous. Highway Patrol assisting in the search. Authorities urging residents in the area to avoid the area and call 911 if you see anything suspicious. Operation Epic Fury. President Trump now arriving at the 60-day mark, the legal deadline for him to seek congressional approval in order to continue using the military in the conflict with Iran. But there appears to be differing opinions on when that mark actually hits, with the Trump administration arguing the April 7th ceasefire put the timeline on pause. ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
The reality here is that the U.S. is currently conducting that naval blockade, enforcing that naval blockade of Iranian ports. And under international law, a naval blockade is considered an act of war. And there are Democrats and even some Republicans who insist that the president does, in fact, need to seek congressional authorization for this. But there is no mechanism in Congress to compel and force the president to do so.
Iran has provided a revised proposal in its negotiations with the U.S. to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, as we hear from Tom Sufi Burridge.
Clearly, the Iranians, yes, they want to negotiate because, the U.S. military blockade is having an impact. Iran can't get its oil out to market, but it will take weeks for that really to take the true economic impact, because it takes a long time to get those exports off to China. So many ships have already sailed before the blockade was put in place about 3 weeks ago.
Meanwhile, Gas Buddy putting the average price per gallon here in Middle Tennessee up 1 cent from yesterday. We're at $3.98. Also in Tennessee, Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton telling WTN's Matt Murphy Show the chances of a special legislative session to redraw congressional districts to gain a 9th Republican majority is a little better than 50-50.
I've talked to the White House and to the governor both multiple times. And look, I think the governor is looking at it. He's trying to figure out there's a small window there if we do want to go down this road. And we're trying to figure out all the complexities of that.
He says a determination could be made within the next couple of days. Executions were carried out last night in Florida and Texas. ABC's Jim Ryan says one of the lethal injections stemmed from a murder that happened 5 decades ago.
On the morning of July 31st, 1976, 20-year-old James Hitchcock raped and strangled his 13-year-old stepniece, Cindy Driggers. Last night, 70-year-old James Hitchcock was put to death, and Cindy's cousin, Chip Meadows, was at the prison.
I've lived with this for 50 years. I can breathe today.
In Texas, James Broadnax was executed for killing 2 brothers during a robbery in 2008. In jailhouse interviews, he was asked if he had remorse.
Do it look like I got remorse?
Broadnax went to his death insisting he was innocent. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
What I give, what you give, what others give, I'm not looking for money. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for profit. I don't do it for stocks. And that's part of the reason why I'm able to be effective in this job, because no one owns me. No one owns this department. No one owns this president. And we can execute for the American people, and we do.
Yeah, and
What I give, what you give, what others.
It's on auto repeat, sorry. Pete Hegseth again yesterday before the Armed Services Committee in the Senate. He was talking with Senator Elizabeth Warren there. She was trying to talk, but he wasn't going to let her do it. And I think he did a good job of getting his points across. I get more phone calls from potential spam than I would ever know what to do with. It is 11:06. I'm Joan Jones, and I'm not normally in this seat at this time of the day. I'm usually just about home taking a nap right about now. But today's a little different around here. So we have me in now. Now we have Ken Weaver in the newsroom. And Mason just left. So, Ken, did Mason leave everything?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please. Did Mason leave everything in good order back there?
Yeah, it looks to be in good order. I still have my Nincompoops trophy and my one-hit wonder trophy.
Apparently, you're going to lose that this afternoon.
Oh, I am not going to do that. I told Chris I'd take the picture he could take down to his son's little league game and show everybody.
His hands on
I don't know about that, Ken. I think Chris has got some pretty strong nincompoop contenders.
Well, Chris does. I mean, I will say this. Chris is going to be pretty strong because, like I said yesterday, he mines dumbasses on the internet all day long. So I'm sure he's got plenty to present tonight, but I just found one that I think it's going to be...
Oh, you think it's going to be a winner?
I think it's going to be pretty good.
Okay. That's
All
RJ.
right.
RJ
It's going to be good tonight.
RJ is producing the show here today, and thank you for that, RJ. Thanks for stepping in.
Happy to.
And I wouldn't normally do this because I really don't know what he wants to talk about, but Tony is calling in about Clarence Thomas. Tony, what about Clarence Thomas?
Well, hi, how you doing? And thank you for taking that call. I was listening to you earlier, and I'm a Canadian in Canada, Montreal, and I listen to you guys, and I stream you because I'm tired of legacy nonsense and being misdirected about the United States. And I listen to you guys, and at least I get a conservative voice.
Oh, well, welcome. We love having you.
Yeah, thank you. I have a handle. It's called Timber Tony Tells the Truth on X, but now I'm going to change it to Tennessee Timber Tony because I like you guys so much. What I was going to say is that you have a bunch of politicians in Washington that supposedly went to Harvard Law School, Schumer, and I don't know. He says he's a graduate of Harvard University Law School, and I find it kind of strange that he doesn't know board versus Board of Education, Brown versus Board of Education. Doesn't know the Plessy decision equal the equality provision of Section 14 of your Constitution. But Clarence Thomas talks about a colorblind Constitution.
Yes, yes.
And he talks about the same sort of thing that Clarence Thomas went through when he was being, vetted by the Democratic Congress at the time, which was, I believe it was Edward Kennedy and Joe Biden, who was a senator. And he said he was being electronically lynched because he was a black person promoting a conservative viewpoint.
Tony.
And his decision is clear on the voting rights, on the voting redistricting. The gerrymandering provision based on race is not something new. It's a violation of the Section 14 of your Constitution. It's also a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
Tony, you know so much more about our Constitution and our laws than our own citizens do.
The thing is, like, you can't just accept what politicians are saying. When you have a decision on gerrymandering and it's based on race, well, your United States Supreme Court in the Bakey decision, California Regions versus Bakey, decided that racial profiling and using race as a prerequisite for anything was unconstitutional.
Right.
And that follows a great line. Finds a great line since Brown versus Board of Education, where equal but separate was considered unconstitutional, even though the Plessy decision said it was constitutional in 1896. So the bottom line is, maybe my dates might be wrong, but the principles are there. You're supposed to be an equal society. And if you go back to political history and de Tocqueville, who was a great writer in the 1850s, he said the United States was a true democracy because you had an educated class of people that were voting. Educated means that you were providing
exactly. Yeah, Tony, I know. And you are, John and Lawrenceburg says, Tony's a lawyer. Can you tell, Joan? He must be a frequent caller on the Chris Hand Show, I would imagine, because somebody else, Debbie, said, our beloved Canadian. So it's good to have him. It's so nice to have people, even from Canada, listening to this radio station at this very moment. And A, he knows so much more than some Americans even know, and B, he's fired up about it in ways that some Americans just aren't fired up. So actually, Tony's kind of a breath of refreshing air.
Got to respect that passion.
Yes. So I just was checking my X feed while we were on break there, and I noticed President Trump just did something that is really cool, and it's that he has confirmed all state permits for the 2026 red snapper season. He has approved all state permits for the 2026 red snapper season. And that reverses a policy that Joe Biden held, which shut down fishing activities in a lot of places in the U.S. He said, we just delivered a huge win for our great fishermen and anglers in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. For years, our great fishermen have been punished with very short federal fishing seasons despite record high fish populations, and the states begging to oversee these permits. The incompetent Biden administration tried to shut down the oceans to our fishermen entirely, and we love and respect our fishermen, and unlike the Democrats, will only do them good. To all of those who fish, red snapper, Trump and NOAA are delivering for you. Enjoy. I'm in favor of this so much because I don't know about you, but you can go into any store, and maybe I was used to living near the oceans and the Chesapeake Bay for years and years. But when I go into, and especially when you go into the Publix, and all there is farm-raised fresh fish, I don't want anything to do with farm-raised fish. Nothing. I want things that are caught, made, processed in the wild. I want wild snapper. I want for my salmon to be fresh and taken right out of the ocean or wherever it is that you get salmon from. It's a really good decision here, and it's good to see this. There are so many fishermen whose livelihoods Joe Biden put on ice with his decisions, and now that decision has been reversed by
Now, I don't know if
Trump.
I can put it this way on TV, but I'm going to do it.
Go ahead. You do it.
The president has Iran by the yin yang. I mean, there's nothing going in and there's nothing coming out. The only source of revenue that Iran has is the sale of oil, and they can't sell a drop. And they have to continue producing because if they shut down their wells, as they may have to, because of the low pressure, they'll never get them started again.
This is what we were talking about with Phil Flynn just a little while ago. Phil Flynn didn't say that the president has Iran by the yin-yang, but that's a whole other issue. But that was, of course, Senator John Kennedy going off on Fox News this morning, talking about the president and saying that Iran can't sell a drop of oil because of the predicament that President Trump has put them in. And that's true. I did promise to y'all that I would play a little Jessica Tarlov. So get ready and wrap a little duct tape around your heads and hold it all in, because here we go. Jessica Tarlov believes what Huck Creep Jeffries had to say about, he said something about, F around and find out to Ron DeSantis in Florida, speaking about going ahead and redistricting in Florida to gain some more Republican seats. And so Jessica Tarlov thinks that, that's true, that, now he's done it, and now the Democrats are going to come after them.
The midterms, it's going to have a near negligible effect. In some cases, it could net the Republicans zero. So you're against what Donald Trump had Texas do then? Because you have districts
I'm against, I can see,
well, a majority of Americans are against all of this.
Yes, me
so
too.
they want a gerrymandering ban.
I don't like gerrymandering.
And so do Democrats. They had a ban, and no Republicans supported them. And frankly, as we look ahead to 2028, when this will really matter, so for the midterms, it's going to have a near negligible effect. In some cases, it could net the Republicans zero seats. best case 3-4, and we can tick down through what goes on in Mississippi, Louisiana, South Carolina, and even Florida, because what their new map violates the state constitution there. But the gerrymandering ban has been available to Republicans, and they should take the Democrats up on it, because if you listen to Hakeem Jeffries' press conference earlier, he was talking about the states that he's now eyeing. And there's a scenario in which suddenly Illinois is completely blue, Maryland completely blue, Colorado, California, that'd be 52 seats.
So she's right. I mean, he is going to go after those seats, but I can tell you that, they're going to run up against the buzzsaw because Republicans don't have to put up with it anymore, because the Supreme Court just allowed them to stop these gerrymandered majority-minority districts. In Maryland, this is where I lived before coming here. In Maryland, they have one Republican House member, one. And they took his district. It was on, Maryland is split up into the Eastern Shore, and then the Chesapeake Bay comes in between, and then Maryland proper. And they took this Republican's district the last time around that they did redistricting, and they made his district partially on the Maryland proper side and partially all the way over there on the Eastern Shore, so that campaigning for this man has to be a nightmare, because he's got to go across the bridge to get there, and it's a long, long, long bridge. And it split his entire district up so that he can't campaign effectively. He can't help to govern effectively. And what they're doing is eyeing it up to make it two districts, or maybe just one district that's going to be just one continuous Democrat district. And it would not, that they haven't already done it kind of surprises me, actually. So Hakeem Jeffries is talking about a scenario where Illinois, Maryland, Colorado, and New York go totally blue, and 52 seats in California. And that's what they're pinning their hopes on right now, is that they get to do that. Jessica Tarloff talking about it there on The Five yesterday. Now, President Trump says that he's spoken to Governor Bill Lee. And Governor Bill Lee, he said, quote, "I had a very good conversation with Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee this morning, wherein he stated that he would work hard to correct the unconstitutional flaw in the congressional maps of the great state of Tennessee. Likewise, all of the other political representatives of Tennessee have promised to do so as well." And that was a Truth Social post that he posted last night. It should give us one extra seat and help save our country from the radical left Democrats. And of course, that would be Steve Cohen's seat over in Memphis. And Senator Marsha Blackburn here on the air with Chris Hand the other day said, yeah, she would absolutely go after that seat if she were to become governor of this great state. But I don't think she's going to have to, because by the time she gets in that seat, and the presumption is that she will, well, that seat will already have been turned red. We're going to keep our fingers crossed on that. Now, coming up here on Super Talk 99.7, it's the last half hour that I'll be able to play here on Super Talk 99.7 on Chris's show. So we're going to do a little fun with audio. I told him I was going to steal the lightning round idea, but what I really wanted to do was to have a whole bunch of things that I could mine and go after. And of course, that's all playing audio bits. And so I'm going to steal Dan's instead and just do fun with audio for the last half hour of the show. So we've got that to look forward to, and a whole bunch of other things. The Starbucks CEO defending $9 cups of coffee. Honestly, he did. That's all coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, we've had some schools placed on lockdown in East Middle Tennessee because of a suspicious person. I'll tell you about that coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Scary times. Scary times for sure. It is 11:24. I'm Joan Jones. That's Ken Weaver. He's going to have your news for you coming up at the bottom of the hour. I posted a couple of videos just now on my timeline that I want you to check out. These are, one's actually a video and the other one maybe a still shot. I'm not really sure. Oh, no, the other one's a video as well. So one of them, the first one that I posted, is the actual footage from Cole Allen. Now, I hate to name the names of these guys who do these shootings, but he is the shooter at the Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night. And it's actual footage taken from the security cameras in a hallway of him walking through the hallway, scoping out the doors. He walks. He has a very distinctive walk as well. He's one of those guys that walks. Now, hang with me if you can imagine this. He walks chest out, and his arms swing almost behind him as he walks. So am I explaining that well, RJ? When he walks, his chest is, up and out, and he walks, his arms swing behind him so that it's a very authoritative looking walk.
Yeah, it's like an inflated ego.
Perhaps, yes. And that would go to the mindset of this guy thinking that he can fix it all if he just takes everyone out in the administration. Anyway, he's walking through the hall. And as he's walking, he's pointing at doors like, okay, I remember that door. Hey, what about this one over here? And then he goes through the next camera image of him is walking through the gymnasium. So he goes into the gymnasium, fumbles with his key a little bit, goes in the gymnasium, and then realizes that somebody's at the desk behind him, and he starts talking to her. And he spent a lot of time in the gymnasium. I find that odd. I don't know why he was there that long, but he was there that long. And then the next part of the video, and I actually put this on as a separate video, is him going into a room. Now he ducks into, there's a door, the forefront is the officers, the magtrometers, the detectors, the gun detectors, because I can't say that word. And the Secret Service agents are actually dismantling one of them. So there were two. One of them is still standing. The other one, they're dismantling. They've got it now down on the floor, and they're paying attention to that. And in the background, you can see Cole Allen walk, long coat on, and he walks into this open door. And right after he walks through the open door, there's a police officer with a dog. It looked to me like it was a German Shepherd dog on a leash, and he follows him into the room. The dog goes into the room. The officer pulls him out. The officer pulls him out of the room. And the dog and the officer start walking down the hall in the direction that Cole Allen had come, and they leave the scene. And the split second later, I'm telling you, this happened so fast I couldn't even believe it. Cole Allen comes out of that door with a long gun in his hand, shooting. He comes out shooting. And I don't know if it was one of those officers there that was struck in the chest, and we now know that it was Cole Allen's gun, a bullet from his gun that struck the Secret Service agent. It was not friendly fire. We know that for sure now. But he comes barreling out of there with that gun over his shoulder already and running down the hall. That is so different than what he looked like when he walked just a second before that into that room that was right off the hallway there, and the dog and the officer was right there. I don't know how he could have gotten away with what he did so quickly running down that hall. Now, the other thing that you notice with this video is that you can see the officers' guns, Secret Service agents' guns and officers' guns firing off as well. Now, we know that I think they fired 5 rounds, something like that. All of them missed. And these officers were actually firing in the direction of other officers. In my humble opinion, it's amazing that no one else was injured, that no one else was hurt, because they were firing in the direction of other officers, because as he ran past the officer with the gun, the Secret Service agent with the gun, the Secret Service agent was trying to shoot at him as he's running by. But there were people beyond him, and they were all a police or Secret Service, whatever. They were all right there, and then everybody turned around and started firing. So that they missed this guy, I don't know how they missed him. And if he just had another moment, he would have gotten down those stairs and gotten into the ballroom.
I know how they missed him, Joan.
How?
It was a sloped hallway.
Well done, RJ. Wow, that was pretty good. I like that a lot.
Thank
It was
you.
a sloped
Thank you.
hallway. Yes. All right. So anyway, I've put those videos up on my X account. You can find me at Joan Jones WTN. 2 videos are up there, and it takes a couple of minutes to go through. The one is a little bit longer. It's fascinating. It's a sad story. That this continues to happen to our president, but at least it gives you it gives you a grounding of what actually occurred there that night. And go ahead and watch those on my X account. Okay, we're going to do a little news here, and then we're going to come back and do that fun with audio that I promised you. It's 11:30 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Also, some crashes are in your way right now, drivers. We got one reported 65 northbound past Old Hickory Boulevard, southbound at the 2465 at Northern Split, and then Old Hickory Boulevard at Amy Lee Drive, Enclave Circle, Bell Road and Mossdale Drive, and then Gallatin Pike is still closed between Delmas Avenue and Lytton Avenue due to a garbage truck that brought down power lines. Right now, about 85 miles east of Nashville, schools are on lockdown after a suspicious person was reported near a campus in Putnam County. 78 miles west of Nashville, Stewart County deputies searching for a man accused of shooting his wife during a domestic altercation. And President Trump just announced he's going to put a 25% tariff on autos from the EU next week. Operation Epic Fury, President Trump has now arrived at the 60-day mark, the legal deadline for him to seek congressional approval in order to continue using the military on Iran. But there's no mechanism in Congress to compel and force a president to do so. Meanwhile, Iran has provided a revised proposal in its negotiations with the U.S. to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge tells us where negotiations stand right now.
The Iranians still control the Strait of Hormuz. They still control that vital waterway for many, many exports for around the world, and that is pushing up gas prices in the U.S. The Iranians still clearly think that they have cards to play, even though that President Trump is clearly betting that this pressure on Iran will bring them to the table and the Iranians will ultimately make concessions.
Meanwhile, Gas Buddy putting the average price per gallon in Middle Tennessee up 1 cent from yesterday to $3.98. And here in Middle Tennessee, Channel 4 investigates, claims records it obtained show Metro Nashville Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Adrian Battle spent more than $19,000 on travel over the past 2 years, including luxury hotel stays and a dinner bill topping $700. That spending, according to the records obtained that Channel 4 says shows, far exceeds that of other Tennessee superintendents, some of whom reported little to no travel costs in the same time period. In a statement, the Metro Nashville Public School District said superintendent travel is essential to building partnerships, learning best practices, and ultimately benefiting students. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:37 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm normally sleeping by now, taking a little nap after a long morning here with Dan Mandis in the morning. I'm Joan, but today I'm Chris Hand, and Chris Hand is going to be on in the afternoon. He starts at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We have RJ pressing buttons for us behind the glass. Hi, RJ. You've done a lovely, fantastic job today.
Well, thank you, Joan. Happy to be a team player.
Absolutely. And Ken Weaver, of course, in the newsroom. We had Mason Fleming earlier this morning who was sitting in for me, and he did a really good job. I really think I have to, shore up my position.
Yeah, we had MF in the morning. Now we got KW with the fake news.
Ah, yes. All right. So, as promised, we're going to do a little fun with audio here. The next time somebody tells you that President Trump is putting his life in danger by drinking so much Diet Coke, I'm just going to point to this lady.
I have 3 of these Cokes a day, and look at me. I'm as strong as a horse, and I just love them. And I'm 91 years old, too.
91 years old. She drinks 3 Diet Cokes every single day. I just love it. There was a story about somebody went to a school, and it's a magnet school, a prep charter school in Philadelphia. So you're thinking that you're getting the best of the kids, right? So this guy goes around with a note, and he asks the students to read the note. Now, I'll tell you what it says to give you a little advance here. The note says, she wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary but somewhat gauche. Okay? You sound so white. I sound so white. Now, he asks these kids to read the note. Here we go.
A suit, clothes that were... Who's this for? Extraordinary, but somewhat... Gertrude?
No, explain what that means.
I don't know.
She wore a sahalat of clothes that were extraordinary, whatever, bro, but somewhat gooch.
What does that mean?
She wore a lot. Wait, she wore, bro, I don't know, bro. Can you take the card back, please?
She wore a... Oh, baby. She wore a silhouette of clothes that were... Bitch, I don't know that word. I don't even know how to read. I don't know why I did this.
I don't know how to read.
Of clothes that were extraordinary, but somewhat gauche.
All right, now what does that mean?
I have no idea. Like his clothes is nice as like. She wore a. I don't know what this should say. I don't know what this should say. I don't know what this should say. You can't read it.
He's stuck on silhouette. Yeah, these kids could not read the phrase, she wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary, but somewhat gauche.
These homeschool ads just get better every year.
They do. It is truly, truly amazing. And their parents should all be embarrassed by that. Okay, there is a story out of Mississippi that was brought to my attention by somebody, a listener, that I actually saw earlier this week, and I wanted to bring this to air, but it's a bit of a long story. So the setup is that these are middle school students who were on the bus, I think on the way to school one day this week, and their bus driver had a medical emergency. And what these kids did is just truly amazing. So if the story before about the kids who don't know the word silhouette makes you want to jump off a bridge, these kids are going to make you want to stay right where you are because these kids had a really going on. Listen to this.
It was just adrenaline pumping.
Yeah. Were you real shaky in the moment? Tell me how you were feeling.
Scared. Wanting to call my mom.
For many sixth graders, calling mom would be the first instinct in a scary moment. But when their bus driver lost consciousness, they had to act fast.
I had a medical emergency, and the students stepped up when I passed out driving the bus.
5 students, opposite sides of the bus, all came together to work effortlessly as a team. One steered, one hit the air brake, one called the law, one called the school district, and the last one administered medicine to the school bus driver.
And she kind of sort of fell over, flopped over, and everyone started standing up.
I saw that the bus was veering off to the side, then I grabbed the wheel.
And then So she passed out again, and then the bus started rolling forward. And I mean, it started to like gain speed, so I didn't know it had air brakes. So whenever I clicked the brakes, it about threw me out the windshield. And then I
Whenever I clicked the brakes, it about threw me out the windshield. Those 5 kids got together and did the best they could to make that bus stop and to help the bus driver because she'd passed out right there behind the wheel. Those kids are heroes, and I love this story like crazy. I love this story. There's a little bit left of the story. Let's see how much more. We'll let it go on here.
Called 911 when I got up there.
I saw her medication in her hand, and I saw like her reaching for it. I knew like that's what she needed.
The student said it all unfolded in seconds. Hancock School District leader said the middle school students worked together as a team until first responders arrived.
You know, I'm not surprised to hear that our kids remained calm and acted swiftly. This emergency situation could have definitely been detrimental, and they handled it exactly how they should have, and we're extremely proud of them.
A day later, bus driver Leah Taylor says she's back to normal, feeling better and very grateful.
I'm very proud of them. I couldn't ask for any better students than my students on my bus. I love every single one of them.
Well, I bet she does, but I certainly hope she doesn't get behind the wheel of a bus again. I mean, I feel for her, right? Am I wrong on this? I feel for her, and I'm glad that the kids helped to save her. But with a condition like that she could possibly pass out, I'm thinking that it's not a good deal for her to be doing such a thing again, putting herself and the children at risk. Cool story. I just love those kids. And somebody on the super text line said our president should invite these heroic kids to the White House. And I think that would be an amazing thing for him to do. And I really hope that somebody there in Mississippi is thinking about doing that. Another person, 2714. That story gave me goosebumps. 4080, 48.99. God bless all those children. They should be proud of themselves. They certainly should. I just love that story. I think it's the best. There was also the story this week about the Wall Street Journal. It's actually about the CEO of Starbucks defending to the Wall Street Journal that you may actually be paying $9 a cup for a cup of coffee.
In some cases, you know, a $9 experience does feel like you're splurging. And then what that means is we have to make it worthwhile.
I like how he says it, a $9 experience.
Mandis is a moron in the morning. So much this year about the K-shaped economy. Fortunes for some Americans very different than for others. Is that not really something that's coming up in your sales?
You know, we're not seeing that in our business. What we're seeing is people, you know, they want to have a special experience. And regardless of what your income level is, in some cases, you know, a $9 experience does feel like you're splurging. And then what that means is we have to make it worthwhile, right? And then in other cases, people believe, well, this is a really affordable premium experience because they're saying like, well, it's less than $10 and I get a really premium experience. So regardless of where you're stationed in those income cohorts, we want to make that experience worth your while. And
income cohorts? Like this man is speaking in language that you and I would never, ever, ever use in 100 billion years. We don't live in income cohorts. We live with what we're given, you know, in our paychecks at the end of the day. So that's just a crazy way to put it. I'm seeing on CNN right now that Iran options are either a deal or blast the hell out of them. Those are the words of President Trump. He was out at an event today and speaking with reporters. He says that Iran still wants to make a deal, but he's not satisfied. And there was stories crossing the wires a little while ago that President Trump, that Iran has put up another deal that they would like the president to consider. And they've sent it along to the mediators in Pakistan. But so far, nothing has come out of that. I will play a little bit of audio from that gaggle that he engaged with there. I think this was in Florida, and he was talking about his visit to China.
Will Iran affect your China trip given the blockade?
No, to China, it's going to be amazing. The visit with China and we have the trip with China coming up, and I think it'll be an amazing event.
Oh, yeah, and they just keep going after him. President Trump also talking here about Iran wanting to make a deal.
So they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it, so we'll see what happens. Iran wants to make a deal because they have no military left, essentially, and they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it.
Okay, so he's had that to say. There's been more. There was so much more from that gaggle of reporters, and I guess I'm just not going to play it at this point. And besides, we've got to get to a break. So on the other side of this, let's check out what we've got with Chad Benson coming up, who's like the only player on the air today who's like actually in his right place. Did that come out the way I thought it sounded? Chad Benson is going to be here in a couple of moments to tell us what he's going to be talking about this afternoon here on Super Talk 99.7. Stick around. We've got that coming up here next.
A different approach.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Listen, an alien apocalypse might be coming, but before that happens, you should take advantage of the Spring Breathe Easy package. Now, this is what I'm talking about. We're going to move on, and we're going to still have things to get done, like getting our AC ready for the summer. You're going to want to take advantage of this package. It's designed to help you clear out the dust, the allergens, the pet dander before the summer heat arrives. You're going to get an AC tune-up. You're going to get an indoor air quality check. They're going to make sure that your family's breathing in the cleanest air possible. You'll receive a dust inspection, a premium air duct cleaning. It's going to remove the debris that's hiding deep inside your system. But that's not all. Wait, there's more. Busy Bee's also going to install a whole home germicidal system to help reduce airborne contaminants. And with premium service, you'll get a bonus unit fog deodorizer. It's going to leave your system so fresh and so clean that if aliens came down, they'd go, smells awesome. We got to hang out. We got to stay here because it smells so good. You're going to be like, please leave, please. They're going to say, nah, it smells too good. Are you using Busy Bee? You'll say yes. Now you're going to get all this value for $11.99 on 1.5 to 3 ton systems, regularly $1,800, $15.99 for 3.5 to 5 ton units, regularly $20.99. Call 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
11:53. There's some bumping and dancing going on. And
grinding.
Oh, you're not on.
Oh, I'm on.
Let me see.
Yeah, I'm on now.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. He's on.
Get it, RJ.
Okay. So
I'm getting
Chad
it.
All
Benson is here.
What up, girl?
Did you know? I mean, I don't know if you're a Spirit Airlines fan. Are you? Do you travel by Spirit?
I have
Ever?
traveled by Spirit.
Uh-huh.
It is an adventure.
Yes. What? It is an adventure no more.
I know.
Yeah.
So
As of today, they say the Wall Street Journal says that they are preparing to cease operations after running out of money, and President Trump's administration will not give a $500 million lifeline.
good.
Yeah, I don't want my taxpayer money
No, we
spent
have
on
enough
that.
taxpayer stuff going to all kinds of stuff that we don't need it going to.
No bailouts. No bailouts for the biggies.
No, it's time. Let it go. And somebody's going to come in. They'll swap it up. They'll buy all of those, flight patterns and stuff, and it'll be fine. I mean, those
Yeah.
people aren't going to be out of work long.
See, I thought that President Trump should come in and buy it personally, and then change the Spirit of America Airlines, like red, white, and blue planes.
He doesn't like air because remember he had Trump Airways.
Oh, I
And it
forgot
failed.
about that.
And he said he would never do air travel again.
Oh,
He
man.
actually told Richard Branson,
Yeah.
don't
do it. And he did it anyway.
But he was a little bit better. But
Yeah.
Trump, I mean, he would never do it because I think he thinks it's a losing business. That's different than it back. Back then it was way different. But I don't. I think it left a bad enough, taste in his
Impression.
mouth. He's going to say no.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, did you
that's
get here?
one-
Did you work this morning too? Did you just work all the way through?
No.
Oh.
Mason worked for me. See, this is how crazy the schedule was.
Yeah.
Mason was me, and Brian Wilson was Dan,
Okay.
and then I'm Chris, and you're you, and then Chris is this afternoon.
Yeah. And Ken's Ken.
Ken's Ken,
And then we've got Belle.
and Belle.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Ken will stay here to do news
Yes.
through the rest of the day. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot
Everything
of
else
moving
is normal
parts.
for you. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
That is a lot of moving
It's
parts.
nice to get on this side of the microphone or in the cleaner studio.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, and it's interesting too because, and this, having worked as a a journalist kind of thing, where they don't want you to really give that kind of opinion. That's kind of the thing, and the fact that that's what I love about TN. That they're just like, yeah, go.
Yeah.
We know who.
You be you.
You be you.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yes.
You're golfing today.
I think so.
I'm golfing tomorrow.
Tomorrow's gonna. There may be a little rain.
I'm playing in a tournament. It
You
was
are?
supposed to be Matt and I.
Uh-huh.
All right. It was supposed to be Matt and I, and I'm looking right here to find out exactly where it's at because there's still a couple if you guys would like to join me. It is a 12th annual golf tournament called Cure for our friends, and it is going to be tomorrow. There's a Bloody Mary bar, so be prepared
wow.
for that. Does that sound like fun?
You start early, so
Yeah.
Bloody Marys are
And so
appropriate.
it is we're going to have Vera on a little bit later. It's at the Country Hills Golf Club. We're going to have her on later, but
where is that?
if it's the same place last year, I have no idea. I can't remember because they asked me the day before last year to play.
Yeah.
Because Matt was supposed to, and then Matt, of course, flamed out again. Flamed out. So I went, and my son happened to come in the day before, and then he and I went out and played, and it was awesome. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna go out there tomorrow. There's still one or two places if you guys want to come. join us. Send me a text in the text here.
Hendersonville? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's great. It was a lot of fun. If it's at the
Yeah.
same place it was last year. And last year they had to move it to June because there's a lot of Titans people that come out, but they had to move it to June and it was their OTAs. So they didn't have as many Titans. This year it's in May again, so there's supposed to be a lot of Titans there. So I'm going to impress for sure.
That's cool. Are
I
you a
have
good golfer? Like, I'm so mediocre.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah?
yeah.
Come on, brag. Go ahead. Brag.
I can swing this. I
Bryson
haven't golfed-
DeChambeau.
My favorite. I love Bryson.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I love Bryson. He's the mad scientist. Always messing with. He's always trying to fix a flaw in the game and do it through science.
Interesting.
In the last in the Masters, I think it was he played it with this new 5-iron that he printed it. He did one of the 3D printers, which I thought was amazing.
Now, wasn't he in Live Golf?
Yeah.
So is he going to be able to go back to the PGA?
They want Bryson back. But Bryson also has said, I don't know if I'm going to come back except for to play in the majors because I make more fun and have more fun doing the YouTube videos.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's really good. Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, he's incredible. He is the must watch. If Live Golf was to stick around in the iteration that it has right now, he was probably going to get $500 million.
Wow. Those guys made a lot of money. Now, Phil Mickelson will never come back, I'm sure, right?
No, I don't think he will. But he's also, he's in his 50s. He's not, Rahm's going to come back. Yeah. Dustin Johnson will come back. Patrick Reed, already back. You've got Brooks back. Had to pay a $5 million fine, from what I understand.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So, but Bryson will come back. I think he will. I think they'll get him to come back. And a few others. And I didn't begrudge anybody going there.
Yeah.
How can you begrudge them? Because a lot of people, 9/11. Well, how many dealings do we have over there?
Yeah.
The president's over there all the time. Son-in-law's over there all the time. We buy oil from them. We welcome them here, right? And at the same time, if I'm a mid-level pro golfer, yeah, I'm making great money, but after all the taxes and everything's taken out, you guys are offering me $50 million guaranteed, life-changing money? Oh, yeah, I'm taking that.
Golf talk this afternoon?
Let's do it all day.
All day?
All day golf talk. And maybe some other stuff. Maybe some redistricting. We can talk about maybe the biggest movie flop of all time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, you have a great day.
You too. Go hit them long and straight.
All right. Thanks. See you guys. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.